All right, let's dive in. We're talking about a brand new reality for, well, every brand out there. AI is now telling your story. So today we're going to break down how you can actually monitor and, manage that narrative before it starts managing you.
Because think about it, right now, every single day, AI engines are defining your company for potential customers. And the huge question is, are they getting it right? This isn't just some tech issue, this is a business survival issue, for real. So to get a real handle on this, we're going to walk through a clear 5-step structure. We'll kick things off with why this is all happening, then we'll define this really powerful framework called the core prompt backbone, break down exactly what you need to track, look at a workflow that actually works, and finally, cover the common traps you've got to avoid.
Okay, let's start with the big picture, the AI visibility shift. This is all about getting your head around the fact that the control you thought you had over your brand story, well, it's fundamentally changed.
I mean, just think about it. When someone asks a question now, engines like ChatGPT or Google's AI Overview, they don't just give you a list of links, they give you an answer. They are literally the new front page. So here's the crucial part. If you're not in that answer, or even worse, if you're misrepresented, that directly hits your traffic, your reputation, and yeah, your sales. And this whole landscape is super volatile. What looks great one day can be totally different the next.
And that brings us to a really critical mindset shift. We just can't treat this like a one-and-done audit. We need to embrace what the source material calls AI observability. What that really means is you're continuously monitoring your brand's presence like it's a living, breathing, dynamic system, because that's exactly what it is.
Okay, so if the environment is always changing, how in the world do you build a stable strategy? Well, that brings us to our second section, building what's called your core prompt backbone. This is the absolute foundation of your entire monitoring effort. So what are core prompts? Basically, they're the most important, high-impact questions and search queries where your brand absolutely has to show up, and show up accurately and consistently. These aren't just random keywords. We're talking about the fundamental questions that define your business, for your customers and for the AI itself.
The source material uses a perfect analogy for this. It calls them your visibility backbone. And that's exactly right. Just like your spine, these core prompts provide the essential structure for your entire presence in this new AI-driven world. Without that structure, you're really just kind of hoping for the best.
So if those prompts are the backbone, then what are the actual bones made of? That brings us to the real how-to, a practical framework for organizing all your prompts into 7 key categories.
Yep, the whole framework is built on 7 of these essential categories. And if you think in terms of these 7 building blocks, you can be pretty sure you're covering all your bases and not leaving any critical blind spots in your AI visibility.
So let's break these down real quick. First, brand recall. Super simple. Does the AI even know you exist when someone asks? Next up, category leadership. If someone asks for the best CRM for a small business, are you in that answer? Third, competitor comparisons. When someone asks to compare you to your rivals, how does the AI frame that conversation? Fourth is product queries. Does it correctly match your product to the problems it solves? Like which software is best for team collaboration. Fifth is pricing and alternatives. You got to make sure that info is accurate and fair. Sixth, sentiment. Is the language about your brand positive, neutral, or yikes, negative? And finally, recency. Does the AI know about your latest product launch or your big news? Altogether, these 7 give you the full picture.
Okay, now we get to the really practical part, building a workflow that actually works. And this is cool because it works whether you're a small, scrappy business or a huge, governed enterprise. The principles are the same. It's just the scale that's different.
And this table illustrates the 2 models perfectly. For a small business, you might start with, say, 25 to 40 core prompts, check them weekly, and track the basic stuff like inclusion in a simple spreadsheet. But for a big brand, you're looking at over 100 prompts, checking them multiple times a week, tracking advanced stuff like sentiment, and using an integrated platform that gives you real-time alerts. The key here is that you can tailor the approach to whatever resources you have.
But look, no matter your size, the workflow follows these 5 universal steps. You select your prompts, you log and version them, so you actually know it's changed, you schedule automated checks, you capture all the key metrics, and, this is the most important part, you set up alerts so you can act when something goes wrong. It's a continuous loop, right? Monitor and improve.
All right, finally, let's talk about what not to do. Because honestly,
Knowing the common traps is just as important as knowing the best practices. Let's cover the key pitfalls that can totally undermine all your hard work.
Okay, first trap, focusing on just one AI engine. You have to monitor across all the major players. Simple as that. Second, ignoring sentiment. A negative mention can be way more damaging than no mention at all. Third, you absolutely need version control for your prompts. If you don't have it, you'll be flying blind when answers suddenly change. And lastly, don't neglect your own website. The easiest way for an AI to get your story right is if you make it crystal clear and accessible right at the source.
So let's end with this thought. Your brand story is being written and rewritten by AI every single minute of every single day. This isn't something you can just opt out of. The only question left is, are you going to be an active author in that story? Or are you going to let someone or something else hold the pen?